Good morning. Good morning. It's me, Nurse with the Shades. And I'm here to share an experience that I strongly believe many people are going through at the same time. And I haven't yet overcome this experience, but I'm determined to find my breakthrough. Every day I still struggle and grapple with different emotions, but I'm determined to find my breakthrough. I'm still in the race. Some days are better than others. Some days I feel defeated by it. And some days I feel like, you know what, God, I am a conqueror through you. I do find strength through you. But I also realize that I'm human. And I also realize that these are triggers that come from my past. So let's discuss it more, okay? Some people are able to get over certain injustices, certain maltreatments from people because they already have a secure foundation. They are surrounded by people who love them. They have a support system. They have people that they know are genuine towards them. They have people that they know will advocate for them. But let's talk about the people who don't have those things. There are people out there such as myself that does not have a support system, that does not have solid people that they can rely on. Yes, they have a few family members, but they do not support them. They do not feel connected to them. There's love there, but there's not a connection. There is not a support system. There is not an assurance there. So what happens is that you're left alone fighting the same things that other people fight, facing the same things that other people face, but you don't have a foundation. It's like your foundation are waves, while everyone else has roots. And you're trying your best to be positive and to ignore certain things, but your foundation is shaky because it's moving. It's not secure. And that's the unfortunate thing. Not everyone has the same setup. Okay, so I go by Nurse with the Shades because obviously I am a nurse, and I opt to wear shades because that is my touch. That is my unique touch to my channel. It allows me to be transparent, but it also allows me to have some obscurity, which is something that I relish in at this moment in my life. It may change later on, but right now, this is how I feel led to present myself. So shades doesn't come with sharing or spilling tea or destroying someone. It's, it just simply comes from me being transparent, me having an outlet, and at the same time me being able to preserve some of myself, because again, I am one of those people who do not have a solid foundation. So until I find security and strength in God through prayer, and until he gives me the foundation I need, I have to be very careful about what I subject myself to, even though it could be used as positivity. I am not oblivious to the fact that the same things that I'm attacked with on this level outside of, a huge platform such as this is just the same. The same attacks that are outside of a platform such as this are prevalent on this platform. So I understand that that means bigger devils. And I'm not calling people devils, but I mean the same judgment, the same scrutiny that is prevalent outside of presenting yourself to a large mass of people is going to be 10 times more. So this is my protective blanket. So for those who understand, please feel free to get comfortable and listen to what I have to say, because I have a lot to say. And I feel like what I have to bring to the table is unique. And I understand that other people are in need of hearing this. This is also going to be therapy for me, to hear what I'm going through and put it into the atmosphere rather than suppress it and allow it to fester. People are not going to always accept you. Do not worry about those who do not accept you. Some people can do this effortlessly without falter. They are unfazed. But there's people like me, and I know that I'm not the only person. There's people like me who are emphatic and hypersensitive, and more importantly, never got validation growing up. Never had an intimate connection with someone that is not sexual or sensual, but sincere. So I wasn't raised with a mother. This is something that haunts me to this day. My mother is in a situation where she needs me. Her situation is destitute. That is reserved for another day, but that is my dynamic. She cannot be what I need her to be for me. She cannot be the vessel that other people have for themselves. I wasn't raised for her. I met her when I was 15 years old. Then she left abruptly. And it wasn't from a hateful place. It was just from, something that our family has for generations that I choose to break with me. And I lost ties with her. I lost contact with her. And I came across her again when I was, 25 years old. And I begged for her to come to the state where I resided before going back to the country where she immigrated to the United States from. And she told me, she was adamant. She just blatantly told me, I don't care how bad you're crying, I'm leaving. My life here is just so miserable. I never had a great experience, which she hasn't. And I feel like I'm ready. Basically, she felt like she needed an escape, because she was here in the States for years and had a very, very, very sad experience. And I can't fault her for that, but it still left me abandoned. Even if she didn't intentionally abandon me, I was abandoned by her. Even if she has love for me, even if she wanted to be a mother to me, for whatever reason, whoever is at fault, I was abandoned by her. Her absence is still prevalent today. And then now at 31 years old, I had to put myself in a position to be strong for her and create a solid foundation for her. The same shaky foundation that I have, she's had for all of her 60 years. So what do you do when the one person that other people have that is a solid rock is a dependent, is vulnerable? And they're relying on you to be that for them. But you never had a genuine person to create a foundation for you. Imagine that. You guys, when you learn about Erik Erikson and Maslow's hierarchy, which is based on psychology, and human interactions and why people respond a certain way, guys, I strongly recommend that you look into Maslow's, study Maslow's hierarchy and study Erik Erikson, and look where love and belongingness is at. Look where safety and security is at in Maslow's hierarchy. Before you get to self-actualization and all the necessary traits that you need as an adult, understand that you don't get to them until you have those two basic necessities that are at the bottom. And love and belongingness and safety and security are necessary before you get to self-actualization, which is based on confidence and security within yourself. So if for whatever reason that was compromised in your childhood, what happens is that you have an adult now who has succumbed to maladaptive traits to respond to the same stressors that other people are faced with. It's not that they're crazy. It's not that they're weird. It's just that they did not have what you had. Every human needs to feel loved, accepted, validated to some extent. Otherwise, they're going to look for it in other people. Or if people do not give it to them, they feel less than. It doesn't matter how beautiful they are. It doesn't matter how talented they are. It doesn't matter how intelligent they are. If they never receive those basic necessities, then you're left with a broken adult. You're left with an adult who does not know how to process why people can be cruel, why people respond to them a certain way. Other people can effortlessly brush it off. Oh, they're a hater. Oh, I expected this coming. And even if you know that that's true, it still festers in you. It still bothers you because it triggers an area that was never established within you. And then when you delve into Erik Erikson, which I'm not going to go too much into, but you have intimacy versus isolation, which is where I'm at 31 years old. You have trust versus mistrust, industry versus identity, if I'm not mistaken, which is in childhood, which is extremely important because that dictates what type of adult you will be. So it starts with trust versus mistrust, and that is through infancy. So this is why I don't have children. It's not because I can't. It's because I'm very careful to not subject my flesh and blood to something that is shaky. I know that I'm still in dire need of intervention. And unfortunately, right now, I can't find it in someone here that's tangible, a human. Because I am human, if you haven't noticed. I am human, and the flesh speaking to you. But I do not have the blessing of finding another vessel, which is a human, because we all come in vessels for one another to help me in that area. So now I'm in a position where I have to lean solely on God. I have to lean solely on a spiritual realm that is not tangible. I cannot feel. I cannot see. I cannot relate to. Which means that I'm forced to have faith. But the Bible says that if you even have a mustard seed, he'll work with that. And I barely feel like I qualify with that, but I know I do because a mustard seed, go ahead and Google it, is extremely, extremely, extremely small. So I'm sure that I passed that test because that's all I have. Because sometimes my faith is so small, it's I can't even put it into words. And it's not because I'm not confident. It's because there's a lot of things that I just mentioned that I was not blessed with. So what happens is that you have a strong woman, a strong 31 years old woman sitting before you who has a lot of great attributes, but is broken. I'm a travel nurse because I love the autonomy and going into different environments. I am very drawn to people. I'm very attracted to people. Even when they hurt me, even when they give me anxiety, I still find myself gravitating towards people. That means I'm a people person. But I do realize that I have ways of sabotaging it based off of my own insecurities, based off of previous rejections. And I also realize that I still haven't mastered with properly putting people into place that they're designated, that they should be designated to be in. People who interact well with people, people who understand people, are people who understand their boundaries with specific individuals. There are people who have mastered similar traits in specific people, and they found a way to maneuver around it to where it doesn't cause discord or contention or confrontation, and they can still somehow get along with all kinds of people. And then if you ask this person, like, how do you get along with people? Like, does everybody like you? How do you do that? They'll tell you that they understand those who don't like them. They understand the people who are spiteful. They understand the vindictive people. They understand the opportunists, the people who are ego driven. They understand all of these different people, and they deal with them accordingly. That is a skill, guys, that me, myself, I'm trying to master. Now, I'm going to move to the side. If you see my crazy background, I apologize. But I'm going to try to reach and get this book to show you what I'm reading because of this. This is by Dale Carnegie, and it's called How to Win and Influence People. Because unfortunately, to make it in this world, you have to understand people. And what I tend to do is when I'm let down by people, I isolate myself. And bear in mind that I said at the beginning that somewhere in childhood is industry versus not isolation, but industry versus identity. So your identity is derived by whatever experience you had and how they were nurtured by whomever is overseeing you and rearing you as a child into an adult. And then, you know, you have intimacy versus isolation, which is where I'm at. I'm not in a relationship. It's not because I'm not worthy of a relationship. It's because I understand that there's things that I need to work on, and I don't want to subject a man, especially if he's the man for me, to so much confusion. I need to get to a place where I'm fully healed before I allow myself to be in a relationship with a man, because that in itself is, you know, a responsibility, and you have to be mentally stable and mentally prepared to be able to handle two emotions and two experiences that are going to be different. There may be similarities, which is what attracts you to one another, but they're extremely different. There's two different backgrounds, two different experiences to the same surroundings. So that's why you have relationships that don't last. It's usually because both people aren't equipped for one another, or it's because one or both haven't mastered how to appropriately deal with the same stressors that everyone deals with until, you know, we're no more. So this is a powerful book that I plan to read today on my day off. And I strongly recommend that other people who struggle with understanding why people are the way they are, and are people persons, or, you know, introverts and afraid of people, I feel like that's a great book, because unfortunately the only way to succeed in this world is to deal with people. You can't run away from them. And me, I run away from people when they make me uncomfortable. I'll distance myself. Before, I used to attack them. I used to counteract it by attacking them with the same energy that I felt attacked by. But I realized how destructive that was. So now what I tend to do is distance myself, which is a form of isolation, which is very dangerous, and the level where I'm at right now, because you're not facing the situation head on. You're not forcing yourself to process the situation in an adaptive way, in a healthy way. So guys, psychology is very real, and it's denounced in society. It's touched on very subtly, and the remedy is just, you know, medication. And I'm not saying that medication isn't effective. I'm saying that I strongly believe that a lot of people are the way they are because of their foundation, and they weren't nurtured properly. So as they're dealing with the same stressors in the world that's prevalent and living, they find ways that are not the best to cope with it. And then they can find themselves consumed under whatever outlet they chose. This is why I'm very careful when it comes to men. I'm not a bad looking woman. I have great qualities that a man would love to, you know, nurture, who would acknowledge and love. But I understand that I have security issues, and I understand that I cling to people, even women, which is odd. It's not because I'm attracted to them. It's because I'm looking for my mother in them. I'm looking for acceptance in them. And can you imagine how destructive it will be to be in a relationship with a man and he expects an intimate relationship and he ends up not being the person for you, or he has different motives and he uses you? I already know that I'm liable of going off on the deep end. So in order for me to maintain my sanity, and in order for me to maintain some control over my life that is set on something that's not solid, I have to be very careful to not partake in even normal things that are expected from people, which is dating. Of course I want to date. Of course I want to feel connected to someone, but I understand that it's paramount for me to wait on God to send me the right man who is equipped to help me and hold me in areas where I'm broken and complement the areas where I'm strong at. And we know a lot of men are on a different tip or a different motive and have different plans. And they will hide that in something that you need as a woman. And that's why I avoid men. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that I didn't have interactions with men, but I've never had a healthy dating life in my adult life. I didn't have my first boyfriend until I was 22 years old. I didn't entertain a relationship until I was 22 years old. And that's another conversation in itself. So even though I haven't yet mastered who I am, I always had a sense that, Jessica, that's my name, Nurse with the Shades. You have areas that are very broken and that could potentially destroy you if you don't control them to some extent. So here I am on a travel assignment because I love autonomy. I'm drawn to people. And I apologize if I left one topic to the next, but I'm trying to connect them in a way where you can relate to me. I took a travel assignment out here in a different state. And while we were in staging, waiting to be deployed, staging is when you're on hold, or they call it standby. You're on hold. These are terminologies that are used for travel agencies for nurses. And basically, while they're waiting for a solid assignment for you, it's a form of deployment to whatever area that is in need. They will put you on hold and ensure that you have the appropriate credentials, and make sure that everything is set in order, your paperwork and everything is up to par. So that way, when it's time for you to go, you can go effortlessly without issues. All documentations are in order. All basic necessities are in order. All orientations, orientating you to whatever it is that you're going to be implementing is basically in order, because as a nurse, it is a huge liability, and you need to be fully rehearsed. Of course, you know how to operate and delegate accordingly. That's the reason you have your license. But bear in mind that nursing is very vast and very broad. And when you're doing crisis assignments, it's similar to doing an agency assignment where you go to local facilities. But the difference about that is, for me, I'm a geriatric nurse. And I tend to jump from nursing home to nursing home that are short and in need of, assistance. So the dynamic is pretty much the same. So it doesn't require, basically, how can I put it, stringent orientation, because the basis is the same. You are orientated, but it's not to the extent as when you're a travel nurse. So especially when you're doing a crisis assignment. So when you're doing a crisis assignment, the dynamic changes drastically, and you have the nursing skill to be able to conform and assimilate, but you need to be fully rehearsed. So I'm on a travel assignment, and of course, that means you're dealing with different people from different states, different personalities. And, it's like I'm a kid in a candy store, but at the same time, I find myself cowering under the various personalities. that I come across. And one thing I'll be honest with that I struggle with even as a woman at 31 is rejection, because it triggers that area of abandonment. Because remember, I don't have a solid foundation. So certain women will use you to get to the next level. It's an unknown experience. They don't know what they're walking into themselves. That's what makes it exciting at the same time. So it's normal to cling and latch into certain people, but some people are so skilled in doing it short term just to get to where they need to go, and they'll drop you like they never knew you. And me, I haven't mastered that yet. Me, unfortunately, I tend to latch to people and stay latched. And sometimes that can be perceived as odd, and some people who have that solid foundation will question, well, why do you even care? Because it's just the name of the game. But of course, as discussed, we understand why. So there was a young woman that I met, while we were waiting to be deployed. She was there early in the morning, very punctual woman, very determined. And I can understand why, based off of the information that she divulged to me. She had a rocky life, which involved her going to jail on more than one occasion. She was, because she's my age now, a teenage mother. And she basically took the wrong path. She said she was very, very impulsive. She used to fight a lot, complete opposite of who I am. She was a fighter. She attacked people for any and everything, very aggressive. But somehow she channeled that energy into advancing, which is something that I actually commend, because I'm not threatened by people advancing. I'm not threatened by people finding themselves and finding their calling. But unfortunately, some people are. And even if they're in that situation to where they're striving towards success, there's still an insecurity in them that is still intimidated by you yourself striving for your own advancement. And then what happens is you turn into competition. You turn into competition. So me, I have a bad habit of opening my heart, my plans, and everything about me to strangers, which is extremely dangerous. And it's because I want to be connected. I get so excited by interacting with someone and feeling connected to someone and having a friendship, because again, I have that void of not having a mother. So I go in for the kill. I go all out and I just expose everything. And a lot of times I leave nothing left for mystery. So what happens is that people are wicked. Not everyone has good intentions, and they will use everything that you told them to compete with you or attack it. So here's the thing, and I'm not being pessimistic. This is real. This is why a lot of people move in silence. This is why a lot of people interview friendships, which should be done. And this is something that I will instill in my children. Don't be too excited to feel connected to someone. Make that person prove that they're worthy of knowing who you are and every aspect of you. And when they pass the test with one small thing that you share with them, then you share more things with them, and so on. You have to interview people and make sure that they're worthy of knowing who you are. Because not everyone has good intentions. So she was there promptly. I came there late, and this is divine orchestration, not interaction, but that too, but orchestration. I am not perfect, but I am strongly walking in my faith with God, because that's literally all that I have right now. And I understand even when things come my way, such as family, children, success, I need to have a foundation that is strong in God, which will surpass any foundation that anybody else has, because people will fail you or people will die. Even those who advocate for you, who are your strong foundation, one day they will be no more. So what happens when they're gone? So it's very important to have a strong foundation in God and Christ. And that is my belief, So I do believe that God orchestrated this interaction between she and I, because she was upset. She handled it well, but she was upset because she couldn't fathom why she was the first one there early in the morning, because there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of nurses waiting to be deployed. And she couldn't understand how she was one of the first people there in line. And she got, her paperwork signed off, and she could not understand for the life of her why she didn't get an assignment for deployment. And when you do travel assignments, it's just very, it's not, I'm not going to say that it's not organized, but you really have to learn how to go with the flow, because you're literally walking into the unknown. I'm here, I'm excited, I'm in this different state, but am I here? Will they send me back? Do they have enough slots for enough people? So people are on edge, people are nervous, because a lot of people have left jobs to come here, families to come here. There's a lot of incentive and opportunity in being a travel nurse, especially on a travel assignment. So you have a lot of different emotions roaming around. You have a lot of different fears, a lot of different anxieties. In addition, a lot of different personalities and egos. And when you combine it all together, you get a toxic situation. And it's not because people are toxic. It's because everybody's dealing with the same thing you're dealing with, a different setup, with a different background, and it's all being thrown into the same atmosphere. So you really have to be strong in who you are to be able to handle that. So she could not understand, this young woman who I deemed to be a friend, who later turned out to be my foe. She couldn't understand why God put her in the back of the line. And I say God because I believe and I believe in fate, and I believe in divine orchestration. And as I was in the back of the line behind hundreds and hundreds of nurses waiting to be assigned, I received a text message from one of the nurses stating that there was no other assignments. And everybody's on edge because, nobody wants to be sent home. And I said, you know what, God, I trust you. And here's the irony of the situation. I was told by one person and even another as I walked down the line to scan just the length of the line. And guys, if not a thousand or more, there were hundreds of nurses waiting to be assigned. These crisis assignments are very, 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 very huge, And I said, you know what, God, I trust you. And he sent that woman in the back of the line because he knew that both she and I would be on the same assignment together. And she was upset. She handled herself well. I'm not going to say she was livid, but she was upset. She was extremely upset. And I heard her voice, which prompted me to turn around, because my very first day in this state, when I was going through orientation, I saw her and we interacted very vaguely. Like, I went to go to the desk and she told me, oh, they're attending to people who were here the day prior, which was, those who came in who are flown into town the day before. They were being addressed first, So that was the small interaction we had. I listened to her. I sat down and realized I was supposed to go back to the desk. We interacted very vaguely. And ironically, I saw her at the beginning of my orientation and getting my credentialing. And then I saw her again at the beginning of a new assignment. I don't believe in coincidence. I strongly believe in fate. So I looked back and I recognized her voice while I was making a YouTube video. And I looked back at her and we reconnected. And she and we connected, and we didn't even realize that we were in line for as long as we were, because we were so engrossed in conversation, and it was primarily God driven. We spoke about God. We spoke about our experiences. And I'm like, oh God, you are so awesome. This woman, she's young. She's the same age as me. She's cute, And I was just excited. I was like, she's pretty, and I felt so excited, to be around someone who I thought I could relate to. And most importantly, God was the source of our conversation and what he's done in our lives, and, and how we're striving to be connected to him and so on. And I was just like, I felt so fulfilled. You know, I'm like, this is it. She's the one. She's going to be the friend that I need. We're going to get along well. And I was just excited, you know? And then as we get to the table, out of nowhere, someone gestured for us to go inside. Everything was a whirlwind. I can't even really remember it. But out of all the hundreds of people that were before us, and me being in the back of the line, and her being pushed to the back of the line to find an assignment, which she thought she would get automatically since she was, you know, one of the earliest ones. Both she and I got an assignment. Although 2 different people told me that there weren't any more assignments for them and they were before me. So guys, what does that tell you? When God is for you and when there's a plan that goes based off of his will for you, it doesn't matter how the situation looks. He governs all things. I was in the back of the line and I didn't even come there early. I didn't even have certain paperwork completed that this young woman who was put to the back and I interacted with had. I was starting from scratch. But God used her as a vessel to propel me in the assignment where I'm at now. That's how I know that this assignment is ordained. Thus the reason I will stick in the race, because it's an easy job, a beautiful experience, but it's very draining because of all those things that I mentioned, various personalities, various egos, you know, various people from different places, from different demographics, from different walks of life. And when you add that together, someone like me, it tends to drain me. It drains my energy because I still haven't mastered how to appropriately deal with different people. I'm drawn to people. I connect with people. I'm very vibrant. I'm very social, but I haven't mastered how to deal with people according to who they are. And guys, I'm not saying that God has favorites. No, God has purpose. And if a certain dynamic aligns with his purpose, it will all work for you and for your good. So out of all those hundreds of people, even including people who were there before me who text me, Jessica, I saw that they stopped it. They stopped it at this person, these people who were before us. Basically, in other words, you don't have a chance. Girl, you're going to have to wait for the next deployment. It's just the name of the game. But there's something about God, God who governs all things, who created the heavens and universe. He's real. You just can't feel him outwardly. You have to feel him internally. He's real. But see, a lot of us, like myself, we're looking to feel him feel something externally. So we look to people for that. When he's trying to tell us that my grace is sufficient, I am all that you need. The same way I orchestrate opportunity for you, I will orchestrate the right people for you, the right places for you. You just have to be patient and you just have to give me that mustard seed of faith and I won't forsake you because my love is unconditional. I don't judge you. I convict you. I don't condemn you. And I give you free will to accept me or reject me. And he used both me and that girl to bypass hundreds and hundreds of nurses to go straight into an assignment. And the people that I came here with, the people that I knew, I was separated from them. And they were still waiting to see if they were going to be assigned. And they were left being nervous. And they didn't find an assignment until a week later. But God used that woman to connect me into my now. So because he used her as a vessel to bring me into now, and she and I connected in the line, and then we went out into LA. I had a rental. We drove around. We interact with each other. We were very transparent with one another. She told me a lot of personal things. I told her a lot of personal things. Guys, be careful, because even if people tell you things, people pick and choose what they want to tell you, just to pretend or allude to the fact that they're connecting with you, but they're really just using you. And guys, you can be used not just for money, not just for just, your connection. People could just use you just for, a placeholder until they find something that they vibe with better. It's just the name of the game, and there's no harm with it. Sometimes it comes with, some slight meanness, but a lot of times it's not personal. A lot of times it's not personal. People just realize that people are vessels. Some people are in tune to that. People realize that people are the connects to other areas. And some people have mastered just dealing with tolerating people. There you go. Tolerating certain people just to, just to go with the flow. But it's nothing personal because they have a foundation and they have security. They can do with or without you and still be fine. It's just the name of the game. This woman is hungry. She was a brand new nurse. She barely made it to this assignment because you have to have at least 1 year experience. She barely made it, and someone let her by because she didn't even make her full year until like 2 days after she came to this, this travel assignment. So she's in a hungry state. She's a brand new nurse. She's my age, and what I commend, she's in nursing school, because guys, when people feel called and when people feel driven, nothing will stand in their way. So she's in a very, very hungry season of her life where she expressed to me that she never thought she could be a nurse. She never thought she could make it. So finally, when she got a taste of her LPN, she refused to stop there. She went full throttle into her RN. So she's on a travel assignment working on her RN studies, which I commend. But guys, some people, when they're hungry, they don't have patience. They're so used to lacking. They're used to not having. So someone like you who's secure, I've been a nurse for 7 years. I'm still finding my way. I'm still finding my purpose. My life is different than hers. It doesn't make me any better or less, and vice versa. I've never been to jail like she has. I've never been the type of person to fight and attack people. That was never me, But that was her life. That was her life that God will use for her testimony. So I don't want to use that as leeway to feel like I'm superior than her, because I'm not. That's her path that God will use for her. And I have my own path. And believe it or not, guys, the fact that I don't have a mother, God is using that for something. God is using that pain for something. God is using your pain for something. You just have to tap into it. I just have to tap into it and figure out, God, why did you allow me to endure this? Why do you allow me to feel this way? And the older I get, I realize that I feel like I have a calling in reaching out to broken women. I feel like I have a calling in that ministry. I feel like I want to be the vessel to show people that there's hope. And people believe those who they feel encountered similar situations. So God is going to use my pains to identify and relate to those people who are in need, those people who are on the brink of suicide, those people who are on the brink and use other alcohol, drugs, men, sex as an outlet. That I avoid it because I know that I could easily be swallowed in that outlet. Which speaks on some strength that I have. Even though I'm weak, I'm strong enough to know, it's dangerous for me to partake in drugs. It's dangerous for me to partake in just dating freely. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous for me. It's not because I don't have emotions. It's not because I don't want to do the same things people do. It's because I know my foundation is rocky. But there's a lot of people who succumb to that. And they're waiting for me. Their God is going to use me to touch them and to bring them closer to him so he can heal them and show them that there's better, that I'm all that you need, that my grace is sufficient. So her calling is different. And I thought that we were meant to be connected, but we weren't. Guys, sometimes God will use certain people to get you in the door. And that's just it. Don't attach yourself to them. Because this same woman, as soon as she and I were together, it was just she and I, we were very close. At least I thought. Bear in mind that I just met her. But this shows how clingy I am to people. People can pretend to be close to you because remember, they're just using you as a step to the next. There was another girl who saw our interaction and she interjected on our conversation. Because I'm so bubbly, I'm very social, I invited her in the conversation. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that that girl and the one who I deemed to be my friend would, later on be very close and exclude me from it. Then a week later, an older woman, because again, I'm very social, I talk to everybody. There's an older woman in her late 40s, shy of her 50s. I saw her and I will always say hi to her, very bubbly. The same thing with the girl who I entered this assignment with. And naturally, I invited her into the duo, trio with me and the other, the girl that I met on the assignment, and then a young woman who interjected and found herself, in a little, interaction with us, So I invited this older woman into this bond. And guys, each day I could feel myself being excluded from this union that it's safe to say that I brought together. It's safe to say that I brought this union together. I was with this young woman. We came into this assignment together. We established a rapport. We went shopping. We went eating. We laughed. We talked. We opened up with one another. Then another woman, a young woman, saw that. I invited her into, our duo. She got connected with the young woman whom I started the assignment with. I saw the older lady. I saw that she looked aloof. I hate for people to feel left outside. I know when you come on a new assignment, everybody's nervous. They don't know what to expect. I invited that lady into that union. And then the next thing you know, I'm excluded from the union that I brought together, which is a gift and is a curse, because I love unity. I love bringing people together. But I understand that not everybody has the same heart. And I found myself excluded from that union. They found little subliminal ways to exclude me from that union. And this young woman, when I was divulging things to her, I told her my dreams. The first woman that I came to this assignment with, I told her my plans. And ironically, she wants to do the same thing. And then the older woman who I invited, she wants to do the same thing, which is fine because there's room for everybody. But guys, you know what happened? Now I'm the outsider, and everything that I spoke on that I wanted to do, they're tapping into it, and it's safe to say there's competition. Instead of us, uplifting one another and nurturing each other's talents and saying, hey, you can make it in this lane, I can make it in this lane, we can all do this together. It's more like, who's going to get it first? And then so it doesn't look nasty, what they do is what the older woman did. She took the other two women and made it just a trio thing. All the ideas, everything that I initiated backfired. All the plans and ideas that I shared that they piggybacked on, they reserved it for themselves and excluded me from it. And because this woman is older, she's more skilled in her cattiness. She's more skilled in that spirit of competitiveness and underhandedness. And this is evident in a lot of women. And just because women get older does not mean that they change. No, this is evident in every woman. It doesn't matter. And I'm still realizing the only thing that happens when you get older is they become craftier and they become more skilled in being a devil. That's it. That's it. My dad told me, I said, Daddy, when I was an adult, 19 years old, I said, Daddy, I thought when I left high school, I wasn't going to have to deal with this stuff. I feel like I'm in high school in the adult world. I'm an adult now. Why am I going through these same experiences? And my dad said, you don't know that you're dealing with the pros now? You were dealing with the amateurs. They were imitating what they saw older people do. Now you're dealing with the pros. In other words, it will never end. The kids that act a certain way, behave a certain way, they're imitating the elders. So when you become an adult, you leave high school, no, the dynamic of high school, the cattiness, the cliques and all of this stuff, no, it's still prevalent. I'm sorry, it's still prevalent. It's just on a higher level, a craftier level. Because people hide behind their age, people hide behind their maturity, and they use that as a scapegoat to still perform the same way, to still behave the same way. They just dress it up better. Devils never die. They just grow bigger. That's it. Devils never die. They just grow bigger. But that's the name of the game, and it's paramount that you have a strong foundation. So those who have a strong foundation, they can maneuver past it. Some people, they fall, which is why they fight, which is why you have confrontation, which is why, you see it all the time. People fall out, people quit, because sometimes people fall. But those who are able to stand and prevail, those are the ones with a solid foundation. You know what? I have people who love me. I have people who aren't competing with me. I have people who want the best for me. So I don't care if you don't want the best for me. I don't care if you attack me, but people like myself. So for all my people who are like me, who do not have that, it can make you feel very, very, very down, very, very sad and borderline depressed because you don't have an outlet. You don't have anyone to call and say, hey, stay in the race. Keep your head in the race. Hey, I'm working on this. There's something that I see you're working on this. Hey, I'm pulling plugs to help you. Hey, I'm rooting for you. Hey, I'm all you need. Hey, grandma's here. Mom's here. We're rooting for you. We have your back. Not everybody has that. So the people who have that, they handle all of those. It's a war, guys. It's a battlefield. As long as you're alive, this is a battlefield. It's beautiful, but it's a battlefield. And when you see people in battle, you see a lot of people who fall. You see a lot of people who are casualties in the battle. But those people who are making it and are still fighting, those are people who were conditioned well. Those are the people who are governed well. Those are the people who are trained well. The warriors who are trained well, those are the ones who make it to the end. And those who are trained well are those who had the resources and the people to say that I love you. I have your back. So when you encounter those demons, remember that you have a foundation. But let's talk to those people who do not have that foundation. You're still in the battlefield by default. As long as you're alive, you're in the battlefield. But where is your foundation? Oh, you don't have one. So who do you seek? Where do you turn to? In my case, I have to turn to God. I have no choice. My hands are up. And I used to try to attack people. Guys, one person, you are in a battlefield. You cannot attack an army by yourself. You will be drained. You will be depleted. You lose your purpose. You will be distracted. You will never make it. You will fall every time. So then when you realize that that's not working, what else do? You surrender with your hands held high and say, God, the same way you got into the fire with those two boys when they burned them, when they refused not to reject you, I need for you to be the same God in the fire with me. I need you to walk before me. I need you to walk behind me. I need you to walk on the side of me. Since you are in the past, the present, and the future, you're in all the rooms where people are talking about you. You're in all the rooms where people are plotting against you. You see everything. He sees everything. The God that I serve, that sent his son to Jesus to die for me, he sees everything. And guys, Jesus, when he came here, he was not accepted. He was ridiculed. He was judged. He didn't fit in with the religious people. They did not believe that he was the Son of God. He was attacked every single day of his life just to be crucified on the cross on our behalf. So why should you fight these battles? I know it's hard, but why should you? The young woman who I started this assignment with, she turned to be my foe. And it doesn't matter. I'm an eloquent speaker. I write very well. I would reach out to her. I said, are you the same woman who talked to me about God? Are you the same woman we connected with? How is it that you feel comfortable to treat me the way that you do? And I felt like we had a friendship. And, she would find different ways. When people are embarrassed, they find different ways to lightly brush you off and, and stuff like that, because you don't make it easy for them. When you hold them accountable, when you hold a mirror up and show them why, this is hurting my feelings. I feel rejected. I feel excluded. I know that this young woman who I introduced to the group, she's not fond of me, which is okay because not everybody's going to like you, but you and I, we started a bond first. So how is it that I find myself feeling rejected? Why am I the outsider? Why are you treating me like this? You know? And basically she told me without telling me that I don't owe you anything. Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, you know, we can't, what did she say in her words? In other ways, we can't control people. She basically said something along the lines where you can't force people to be your friend. And she just dressed it up nicely. You know? So, and she said, you know, I stopped talking to them because I couldn't process, you know, I distanced myself. Remember, I said that was my way of dealing with certain things, coping with certain things. I isolated myself. And she said, you know, you can't control people. Everybody, yes, it's true. Everybody has free will in everything they do. Even when it comes to accepting God, free will. She made a very valid point, and it was a hard pill to swallow. She was very nice about it. And, you know, I can tell she feels bad. She doesn't feel bad, but she acknowledges that I know what's going on. So she'll throw me crumbs, and the crumbs is like, hi, how are you doing? She'll wave at me, but she never goes out of her way to invite me out. She never goes out of her way to make me feel accepted. You know, and we don't have to talk and discuss those women. You know, I don't have to talk bad about them. I just want to feel like she and I still have that connection. But guess what? I don't know her, and she doesn't owe me. And she made it clear that she has family. She has friends that she's known for years. She let me know in every way that, honey, I don't need you. And honey, why should it matter? Because, you know, we're here to work. We're here to make money. It does matter because you're connected with the same women that I introduced you to. And you guys are doing things together. If it didn't matter and if you were here for purpose, you wouldn't have a relationship with them. People need people. People want to feel connected to people. But understand, when you're ostracized, don't start questioning yourself, because I'll tend to do that. And then I even found myself almost forcing myself on this young woman. Like, I even told her, I said, hey, I said, you know, I have value, you know, I have value, and people make time for what they care for. She's like, oh, I'm in school. I'm in nursing school, which was evident even when I met her. She was in nursing school when we went shopping together. She was in nursing school when we went out to eat. She was in nursing school when I drove her around town. She was still in nursing school. So guys, it was just a scapegoat. People make time for who they feel is important. Period. People invest in what they feel is worth investing into. And it doesn't mean that you're not valuable. It just means that, you know, you're not everybody's like you. Not everybody's the same. And people don't even owe you kindness. People don't owe you that. And a lot of people are aware of that and understand that. But there are people out there who do not have foundations, who do not have self-esteem because of that foundation. Not self-esteem because they feel unattractive or what have you, but they never had that person to tell you that you have a group of people who are your cheerleaders and who want the best for you. You have people like myself who are fighting on their own and are still in the battlefield. And even if they make it, even if they succeed the war, they go back to nothing. So let's talk to those people who make it in the battle but go back to nothing. There has to be another outlet. There has to be another source. And it doesn't need to be an antidepressant. It doesn't need to be alcohol. It doesn't need to be you being buried underneath a man just to have an escape and feel an affection. You have to trust God. You have to rely on God. And you have to say, Jesus, help me find my value in isolation. Help me find my value in rejection. Help me find my value in all this turmoil that's around me. Because I don't have a foundation. And because I don't have a foundation, it's easy for me to question your will for me. It's easy for me to question myself. You should never have to fight for someone to accept or love you or cherish who you are. There are people who watch you from afar and give you loyalty just effortlessly. So if you can fellowship with someone and they can treat you like you're nothing, they weren't for you. And there's people who are comfortable with knowing that people are not for them. But there's people like myself who are used to being rejected. And they cannot process rejection the same way you process it. Because from infancy, they were on mistrust versus trust. Their hierarchy is none. They have no hierarchy. They have none. Their pyramid, their Maslow's hierarchy is in shambles. They're surrounded by rocks and blocks of necessities in that hierarchy that they themselves have to piece together. How sad is that? And people don't care because everybody's worried about self. Everybody's trying to make it. Everybody's trying to climb to the top. Whoever's weak, whoever can't hang, let them fall. Who cares? It's better me than you. It's ruthless out here, guys. It's ruthless. And it's hard. It's hard. Because even though I have purpose here, even though I know what my calling is, instead of me focusing on my calling, I still find myself consumed with why would she treat me like that? Why are they like this? Why does this young woman who's in the hotel next to me, why does she ignore me? Why does she shun me? Why do people behave the way you'll never know? And guess what? The enemy knows you don't have it. The enemy knows your foundation and he knows your calling. Because Jesus was rejected and he was great. He had a calling. And I want to speak to those people like me who are rejected, the misfits, the people who are misunderstood, the people who are falsely judged. I want you to understand that there's greatness in you. Those people who are climbing, those people who have to link together to come as one and to destroy you and make you feel like an outsider. Those people who have to connect, if they felt so secure in themselves, they wouldn't have to compete against you. They wouldn't have to undermine you. That means you have a gift that is so strong that they're threatened by. So they have to come in numbers just to attack your calling. And then what the enemy will try to do, he will say, see, you have nobody. You have no one. You have nothing. Give up. He will whisper those lies in your ears. No, guys, keep pushing forward. And as I'm telling whomever who needs to hear this, I'm telling myself that keep pushing forward because I have things in the work. God is putting the right people in my path. I have everything that you need is around you. Everything that you need is around you. If you say you don't have a mother, God says you didn't need one. If you say you don't have anybody, you don't have a friend, God says you don't need one. Don't worry about who has what. God says you don't need it. Because he's going to use what you don't have for you to channel your power, for you to channel your calling. So when you make it to the top, people will know that you have nobody. People will see that you have nobody. And then they'll be forced to know that there's a greater power that's on her side. She has no friends. We did everything we could to keep her down and she still made it to the top. It has to be Jesus. God will use your pain just to give him the elevation that he needs. Just for people to see that he's real. Everything was against you. Everything is against me. Do not succumb to the pressure. The enemy is trying to lie to you. The enemy is trying to use that rejection. He's trying to use your triggers, your brokenness to say, see, you're not good enough. See, they don't like you. He's trying to use that. But God is trying to use that very thing to tell you, my grace is sufficient. All you need is me. Lean on me. Cry to me. Come to me angry. Come to me broken. And I will hear you. I will give you rest. But I want you to keep going forward. Use what you have. Everything you need is around you. I will never forsake you. My love is unconditional. And I know you need people, but you're in a season where I want you isolated. And guys, when God wants you isolated, he will use people to be who they are to keep you in isolation. He will have you connect only just enough to connect for people to be touched by you, but not enough for you to feel close and connected to them because it's your season of isolation. You cannot reject your calling. It's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable because you're human. You still want to get along with people. You want to feel connected. You're human. It's natural. But understand that there's a reason. Understand that there's a calling. God has better for you. God has better for you. You don't need people. You do not need people. People are necessary. You need who God has for you. You need who God has for you. Look at the characters in the Bible, what they went through. Some rejected by their own family, placed into slavery by their own family because they were envious of them. So can you not be surprised when people do certain things against you? And I know what it is, but I'm in denial because I still want to feel connected to people. And then it's weird because if somebody's showing you, hey, I don't like you. I don't like you. Why are you forcing yourself on me? If you love yourself, can't you tell I don't like you? You know why I find myself gravitating to the person who says they don't like me? Because I'm trying to force them to like me because I don't want to feel that rejection. It's easy when someone shows you that they don't like you from the beginning. You've already trained your brain to say, oh, this is just a hater. This is whatever. But when someone opens themselves to you and pretends to be your friend and turns to be your foe and tells you, no, girl, I'm your Judas. I never liked you. You still have to be able to handle that. And it's very, very hard. Nursing is a very, very hard career. But thankfully, with the travel assignments, you're not really using too much clinical, depending on what you do. If you're in hospitals, you know, guys, all of it is mentally taxing and draining. So it's normal to want to find outlets. It's normal for you to want to go out and connect with people. But if it's not happening, don't force it. God is telling you, I need you alone so you can hear my voice. I'm telling you you're next, but you can't hear it because you're too concerned with who doesn't like you. You're too concerned with who doesn't care about you. And these people are not losing sleep. They talk about you one day and they're on to the next. It's just may the biggest man win. That's all it is. That's all it is. If it's you or them, it's you. It's going to be them. I'm sorry. They don't have loyalty to you. They don't know you. Not everybody's like me or whomever out there who is naturally loyal to people off of the sake of ethics, off of the sake, off of just compassion. Not everybody. A lot of people say, oh yeah, I'm nice. Oh yeah, I know God. Yeah, I believe in God. But even the devil knows God. The devil knows the Bible better than me, better than the most. The devil knows that Satan knows the Bible better than most religious people, better than most who knows God. He even tempted Jesus himself. The enemy, he's so skilled. He's so crafty. And guess what? He comes in things that are appealing. He tempted Eve through the snake, through the fruit, and told her that she would have wisdom. He enticed her. Satan was the most beautiful angel. He was very talented. So what does that tell you? Satan will hide behind people. He hides behind people to attack you. The person doesn't even know that they're being used to attack you. They're just like whatever. But Satan knows your triggers. And you don't think he sees your calling? The same way God knows your calling he has for you. You don't think Satan knows your calling? Because of sin, we're all subjected to the same thing. But God is telling us, my grace is sufficient. Trust me. Keep going forward hurt. Keep going forward broken. Keep going forward rejected. Keep going forward unsure. Keep going forward. If God keeps people away from you, it's because he has a purpose for you. Your calling is in your isolation. So what I'm going to do today on my day off, and what I advise whomever is going through this right now, who doesn't understand, why am I by myself? Why are people dissing me? Why are people attacking me? Why are people coming against me? Why do I feel I'm being competed against? Why are people, why? Ask yourself, God, how will you use this to advance me? Because God wants you to be isolated. But unfortunately for those people like myself who do not have a foundation, it is very hard to understand that. We hear it, we read it. You know, God sends powerful people to tell us that every time. But when you don't have that foundation, it is hard, and he knows that. Understand that everything good and evil is used for something good. Everybody who you see at the top of success. See, these people who are just trying to fight over you to get minimum success on a lower level, let them have it. Let them turn people against you. Who's for you is for you. Let them have it. They think that they're winning. Let them think that they're winning. Because God is getting ready to walk you into places that they would never fathom to be in. Let them have it. The level that they're fighting to have, let them have it. The people that they're fighting to get, let them have it. Say, God, how can you get me to touch millions? Not just the people who are around me. Not just the people who are at my camp, the people who are on my assignment, the people who are at my job. Jesus, how can you use me to reach millions? So those people seem insignificant. Let them have it. Like TD Jakes said, when people walk away from you, let them walk. Let them walk. They're not for you. Why would you want to force yourself to be around a Judas? They don't like you. But there's a lot of people, even young girls in high school, it doesn't matter the age, they force themselves, they conform, they kill themselves, they kill their talents, they kill their callings every day just to conform. And I guarantee you I would be accepted in that group if I wasn't so bright. If I didn't have, and I'm not saying this to be egotistical. Sometimes in order to be in certain cliques, you have to suppress certain talents. You have to suppress certain ideas, certain strengths, and you have to cater to somebody's ego. There's always an alpha in the group. And in this case, it was the older woman. She wants to be seen. And what she does, she dresses it up as if she's a motherly figure. So that way, you know, the people, the other two young girls who, one's my age, the one who I met, and the other one's a few years older than me, it appears like, you know, she's the problem. I'm the problem. You know what I mean? She's the problem. And then they'll instill all of these lies in their head to tell them why it's okay for them to not be friends with me. And I'm older. They'll use their maturity. But the reality is the older person feels threatened by me. So instead of her bringing unity as an older person who's mature, she's instigating division. God is not, he doesn't operate off of confusion and disorder. So that's demonic. She's not demonic. What she's doing is demonic. The enemy is trying to use her against me because he knows my triggers. He knows that I have experiences of being rejected, experiences of people turning on me. So much so to where I question my own identity. He knows that. But God is trying to tell me, no, I'm using that to bring you to different heights. So who am I speaking to? Who's going through the same thing I'm going through? I'm reaching out. I'm speaking to the people out there who don't have foundation. And their only foundation is their mustard seed, their little mustard seed in Christ. That's it. I'm here for those people, not the people who got it all together. I'm here for the people who don't have anyone. Who am I pushing as I'm pushing myself through this madness? Who am I pushing? My calling is so great. It's so great, and it's bigger than me. And my calling is going to glorify God. It's going to glorify God because it's going to bring people, millions of people who are hurting. God is going to put me in a position to heal people, to tell people you are beautiful, you are worthy. I don't want to compete with anybody. I'm competing against the devils that are trying to hold me down. I'm not competing with people. But unfortunately, people will see you as competition. So they will try to stifle your life, your light. They will try to reject you. They will try to keep you ostracized, to make you feel like it's you, like something's wrong with you. No, that means you need to tap into whatever that calling is even harder. Because it's so great that you're being attacked. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood. That means we don't wrestle against people. It's not people. We wrestle against the wickedness, the rulers and principalities and high places. It's not people. It's not people. The enemy uses people. The same way God can use people to bless you, the enemy uses people to curse you, to attack you. It's not them. And don't get angry. Forgive them 70 times 7. That's what the Bible says. Because when Jesus was nailed to the cross, what did he say? Father, forgive them because they do not know what they do. So do not concern yourself with people. They don't know what they do. They don't know any better. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to succeed. Everybody's trying to make it in life. So if it means stepping on you, so be it. If it means attacking you, so be it. It's not personal. It's the name of the game. Not everybody's secure in themselves where they can say, I'm broken. I'm fighting the same battle, but I want to hold your hand. I want to walk with you in a battle. I don't want to fight against you. You're my sister. You're my brother. Not everybody thinks the same. But when God was nailed to the cross, he said, Father, forgive them because they do not know what they do. So keep pushing forward. Grab your mustard seed of faith and keep pressing forward. Ask yourself, God, if it's your will, I'll take it. Because guess what? Jesus didn't want to go to the cross. He even said, Father, remove this bitter cup from me. But if it's your will, I'll take it. He took that bitter cup, which was death, so that way we can have redemption. We can have hope. We can have faith. The battle is already over. This little battle that you're fighting is just the battle of sin, just being a part of sin. But the true battle has been won, conquered when he rose from the grave. That's the true battle. The true battle is done. The price was already paid. Grab what belongs to you and keep going. The people in these places you will see no more. Say, Jesus, give me the strength to pass this test. Because I have so many things that I'm working on that I'm not giving my undivided attention because I can't understand why I'm being rejected. And the enemy is trying to use that to distract me from my calling. So guys, I want you to fight harder when you feel attacked. And I want you to say, God, you know my foundation is set on waves. I need for you to be my foundation. In your mighty name, I pray. Keep pushing forward. Don't worry about day. Don't worry about day and what they say. Just pray and keep moving forward. You are valuable. You are enough. You are worthy. And understand that God's grace is sufficient. And that's all.